Recording. Okie dokes. Cool. So excited. So, hello, everybody. I'm Christy. You guys can introduce yourselves.
Bianca.
Bianca. We have the accountability coach Bianca on today. I am Leah. I am a dietitian. Me and Christy have been doing these talks throughout March. We did them a little bit at the end of last year, and we've never had a guest, I guess if you want to call it that, a guest on. So we are so excited to have Bianca here today, so she can tell us a bit about how she helps people, her clients, stay accountable.
Yes.
Also, might I add, it is the end of Women's Health Month or Women's History Month, so it's even more special to have another woman on the crew. But Bianca, take it away, okay? Give us a little bit of like a rundown.
Thanks for having me. This is so much fun. And I always love to, partner and speak with people both, in both of your professions, fitness and nutrition, because I always want to clear up exactly what an accountability, I should turn that off, what an accountability coach does. Basically, I work with my clients in setting goal-oriented plans, and I never create goals for my clients. They come to me, they let me know what they're dealing with, whatever issues they may have, and we kind of sift through all of their different feelings and emotions together and figure out little baby steps to work toward a larger goal. And I like to split everything up between macro goal versus micro goals. So a macro goal is something that we work towards, say, after a 3-month or a 6-month period. And then within that, each week we set micro goals in order to get to that final result. And I find that it's a really helpful tool to also let the client have something to celebrate more frequently than just having one end goal toward the very end. As an accountability coach, I always like to say that I'm a professional handholder. So
I love that.
Yeah. So I like to, always make people feel that anything can be discussed. You can approach me with any type of issue, whether it's big or small. And I work with people on such a different spectrum of different goals, whether it be someone who wants to change their career and leave their current job and sector into a different one, or someone who is dealing with, weight gain or weight loss or fitness and trying to make goals in that direction, someone who wants to change their relationship with food, or maybe change a relationship or dynamic with people that they, surround themselves with frequently or whatnot. So I really keep it very open in general, and it's more about sifting through thoughts of, what are your own thoughts versus what is the voice inside your head versus the other voices that come up and other narratives that are created by other people, and how to differentiate that and how to listen to everything, but then only take what you need to and take that path.
Oh my God. I love
in
that.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that's so interesting. Like, it's almost like really taking an external validation versus internal validation and listening to that little whisper, your like kind of like inner child to be like, no, you got this. Like, keep going.
Yes.
And I think what we were chatting about like prior to this and kind of setting it up, interestingly enough, we're all in like client facing businesses, right? We really help our clients get to where they want to go. But one of the things as an accountability coach, which I think is really cool, is like knowing what to do and then actually doing it.
Yeah.
Like for me, for example, if a client says to me, okay, I want to lose weight, I'm like, great. Tell me the equipment that you have, how many times a week, and now the workout is set to this way. And I think, Leah, very similarly, it's a little bit more of a formula, if you will.
Absolutely. Most of the time when people come, unless they have some newly diagnosed disease or medical condition that they really have no idea how to treat, it's like people in general know what a healthy eating pattern looks like, but they just, like you said, Bianca, like they need the hand holding, the help on how to stay accountable. So I think what we do is really similar in that way. I love how you said making mini micro goals, because I think too in nutrition, and Christy, I'm sure for you in fitness, like having a reason to celebrate each week of like, this is what I did really well. And I actually, even if your goal is something as simple as drinking a glass of water before breakfast, like I did it. And no goal is too small. Exactly. I love that micro goal setting, because that also hitting those goals is what's going to propel you forward. So I think that's so cool.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think that this is actually the biggest thing that I deal with pretty much everyone that I speak to. And honestly, it's the biggest thing I deal with myself. I think knowing what to do and actually doing it are just two completely separate things. And I kind of have tried to put a list together of tools that can help people try to figure out how to maneuver that. And the first thing I always suggest to people is to talk out loud to themselves. And it takes a second for people to get used to that. And sometimes it can make you feel crazy, especially when, you know, there's no one in the room and you're literally talking out loud, but it genuinely helps. I think that
writing this down.
I'm like, where's my pen? I love that.
I think if you're in a situation where, and I'm going to continue to use myself as an example here, you know, I'm really trying to eat healthily throughout the day and I'm just becoming very peckish. I know that there's a bag of chips in my pantry and I know that I'm about to go stand in front of it. What am I going to do? I will practice speaking aloud to myself and saying, Bianca, if I do this right now, I'm going to have satisfaction in the moment, but I'm not going to have satisfaction afterwards. In fact, I feel like I might hate myself afterwards because it will go so off track. And then what does that mean to hate yourself? And all of these extreme words. And then you go on this tangent. And when you start saying it aloud, like, oh my God, all of this has been sparked by me standing here in front of my pantry looking at this bag of chips. Close the pantry, walk away. So I think when you start to talk out loud, you start to realize, you know, your mind works so quickly. You can go from point A to point B in a matter of a second. And before you know it, you're like all the way down the block. So when you say it out loud, you have to slow your thoughts down because you can't speak that quickly.
God, I love that. So from a movement standpoint, that's amazing. Like, I think sometimes I see my clients like trying to pep themselves up a little bit. And I've also done this in my own workouts. Like even today I was on the Peloton and I did not want to get on that Peloton, but I was like, come on, Christy, just start with 10 minutes. You could just do 10 minutes. And it literally started with just that conversation. So I think like maybe we probably do it throughout the day. It's just like an internal, but now I'm going to really start talking to myself.
Yes. And
I love that.
Works. I think that that's such a great tool. I also, avid journaler. I think journaling is so helpful to become more in control of your emotions, to understand your thought process, to pick up on your own patterns. If you start journaling throughout the day, Leah, I don't know if you recommend this to your clients for people to journal what they're eating. And then you can figure out, oh, I get really, really hungry at 5 p.m. So what am I going to do to change my day and to figure that out? So that's also a great tool. I think breath work is always helpful. It just lets you take a step back, you think for a second before you make any sudden decision or reaction, whatever it may be. I think in general as well, and all three of us, I think, are this way to all of our clients, just being available. And when you're in a moment where you know what to do, but you may not do it, having someone readily available to text or to call. And of course, in a professional setting, you know, we always try to be there for our clients, but also develop boundaries and whatnot. So I always say, have one amazing friend that you feel is genuinely compassionate and empathetic and, you know, shows you true loyalty, that you can call up and you can say, I'm having this type of moment, I need to talk it out. And having that is so powerful. And I think showing vulnerability and truly showing that side of yourself in a friendship will inevitably make the friendship stronger. So having that as well is a really great tool of implementing, knowing what to do, and just educating yourself, knowing what works best for you. All of these things that I think are very, very helpful.
I love those. The journaling, I definitely relate to that. You know, I have all my clients, unless there's like, you know, a history of eating disorder there where they don't want to be writing down everything they're eating because it's triggering to log their food in that way. But in general, food journaling is the number one thing that I see keep clients A, accountable, and B, like you said, self-aware. Like I can't even tell you how many times, like I'll have a client and be like, I'm having the most painful gas. This is like very recent. This just happened. And I don't know what it is. A week of food journaling. It's like, oh, when I eat a, you know, bag of popcorn followed by a cup of dried apricots, my stomach hurts, and you're able to pin down why you're feeling a certain way after eating certain foods. And also just the act of writing something down, I think, makes you think about it a bit more and be a bit more intentional and mindful about the things that you're choosing.
Mhm.
So I absolutely love that. And not only for food, but just for feelings.
Yeah.
And I think it also validates, if we're talking about journaling feelings, that feelings are very temporary. And I feel that I see a lot with a lot of clients, with myself, like if we're in a moment of anxiety or just not feeling great, it can feel like it's going to last forever. And writing it down on that page and then seeing, oh, an hour later, I feel I'm completely fine. It really allows you to see how temporary these negative feelings can be. So I love that.
For sure.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm a big journaler. I've been since I'm a kid. I have journals from high school, and I never really realized it was like quote unquote journaling. And then as an adult, I really use it to manifest. I use it to write down everything I ever wanted. It's been, I could probably go back and find it in a journal. And it wasn't until I started working with this, what I call my shaman doctor, that he really was like, continue journaling, continue journaling. And what I noticed doing journaling is that sometimes I was falling into like an over exercising pattern and not realizing I was using exercising to escape. I notice it in a lot of my clients. I'll never really say that because it's not my place, right? But noticing like and starting to really write down like, why am I so torn, or not torn, rather drawn to these types of exercises? Why do I want to get to the point where I'm like fully, you know, throwing or slamming things? It's just, and then I realized that I'm probably running away from something.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got into journaling and I really just started to dive deeper as to like, why, and really bringing in more of those yin movements, Leah, like we had spoken about, and kind of like honoring, like, it's okay for me to do the yin. It's okay for me not to be like doing these high intensity workouts all the time. But it was journaling that made me kind of come back to that and really understand the why. Why do I keep getting drawn to those, right? It's such an intense emotion when I'm doing those types of exercises. But what is it that I'm like running away from that I don't want to feel in the slower movements, in the yin movements, in the meditation? And again, journaling is like huge fan.
Yeah. I think that kind of leads into our next question.
Thank goodness.
Problem.
They want you.
You're so popular.
Connected. And that's one thing, that everything is connected. My phone, my computer, that's something that I should change.
Totally. Me too. And Christy, like you talking about craving, or not even craving, but gravitating towards that really high intensity movement, especially in this past year when maybe like you need more of an endorphin hit or whatever that's giving you. Bianca, have you seen in your clients a change in their relationship to food, relationship to exercise, just with everything going on? And how has that factored into their goals?
Definitely. I think when, you know, this whole experience in the last year started, people who I spoke to took it as two ways. We didn't know how long it was going to last for in the beginning. So a lot of people thought, wow, this is a time for me to give my body a break, to maybe stop working out for a little bit. Maybe it'll be 2 months, 3 months, kind of, we're home. Let's enjoy this time with our family the best we can, try to make the best of this like very dark time. And then when it started to last longer and longer, they fell into a rut because they couldn't pick themselves up out of it. And then on the flip side, I was speaking to people who completely from the beginning used it as a time to say to themselves, okay, this is my time. I never have time to work out because I'm always in the office. So I'm going to be working out from home. I'm really going to focus on food prep. And so it was really interesting from my perspective to see how people went in two completely different directions. And I think there's obviously no right or wrong. This has been such an unusual, unprecedented time that, like, how are we to know how to handle it? But I have noticed that there are a few common roadblocks that have come up in the last year that I see amongst all of these kind of negative habits that people are trying to get their way out of. And one is just simply temptation, having things in your home that you wouldn't normally have. Hence the bag of chips I was talking about earlier. I think that people are, you know, trying to cope in different ways. So they're using food as a way to deal with their emotions. I'm sure, Leah, you deal with this with your clients all the time. And I also think that being in a confined space, if you're in a relationship with someone who has different eating habits than you, has shown to be a really interesting dynamic. So, for example, again, speaking just for myself, I have a different eating habit than my husband does. For example, he eats a little bit more red meat. He, snacks less. I snack more. There are so many different things going on. And we kind of started to pick up on each other's habits, which has never usually happened before. And that has been something that I think I've noticed amongst, people in confined spaces, picking up on each other's habits in that way. Also, seasons, winter, being confined in a space on the East, if you were on the East Coast during this time, you wear more layers, you wear baggier clothing, you have less of an incentive to work out. And then, Christy, it looks like you're in, beautiful sunny Florida.
I just moved though.
Exciting. So we're, a totally different dynamic. So all of these different roadblocks that have come up that I feel like I've noticed, people changing their habits. I don't know if you guys have noticed any of these things come up as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I think it has kind of gone one of two ways, of lots of resurfacing of very controlling eating behaviors and disordered eating behaviors, because there's so much uncertainty, in the beginning of the pandemic, more so when we had no idea how long it was going to last, how long you're going to be working from home. Now you're all of a sudden, like you said, in these confined walls. And for a lot of people, food is like one thing that they can count on to control.
Mm-hmm.
So, it can go that way, where there's very intense exercising. Like you said, this is the time I have to get my body right. And, I'm just going to go on this really extreme diet and work out like crazy. And people are just working out from home all day long. Or it's like, kind of like F it, and people go on that route where there's more snacking, eating until you're uncomfortably full, less working out, less paying attention to how you're feeling inside.
Mm-hmm.
So I think navigating that and finding the middle again with people, and reconnecting to what makes them feel good has been really important. I just a little things throughout the day, like going on a walk, like you said, meditation, yoga, just picking out little spots of the day where you can do things that lift your mood. And maybe even if it's cold, get outside for some fresh air. I've seen be really, really helpful in this time. What about you, Christy?
Yeah, I definitely noticed a lot of my clients. So I work with people in two different ways, right? I work with people one-on-one or in small groups as very personal training, right? So I'm able to kind of build with them and grow. I will say once we switched to virtual, my clients were so consistent. And then I also teach group classes. So what I noticed in the group classes was very similar to what everyone's saying. Very few were very consistent. Most went through these waves where I would see them every single day. And then I would see them, I wouldn't see them for some time. And I have to say, even I wasn't sure, in when we first started the pandemic, I wasn't sure what I was going to do as a personal trainer that had only seen people face to face. I was a little hesitant to the idea of going virtual. I was like, the world's ending and I'm over here trying to tell people how to lift their ass. Like this seems ridiculous, but I kept on going, and I just kept getting really great feedback from clients and from people that were taking classes. So it was interesting to see the waves, right? It didn't match any waves that we had in the industry before, right? Typically in many industries, there's just some waves that we see in the gym. So it didn't match any of that. But what I noticed with my personal training clients was a level of consistency that was incredible, because nothing was blocking them from getting to the session, from getting to the gym. And what they told me was, this is just helping me stay sane. And what I was telling them, I was like, having you on my calendar is helping me stay sane. Knowing that you're my Thursday, knowing that you're my Monday client was really helping me stay sane. So really interestingly enough, it helped me build my business to have these clients be so consistent. And then it also helped me just realize this is okay if the wave of my group fitness classes continue to kind of go just up and down. I was kind of like, this is okay. you know, it's hard for, I think, all of us that run our own business, especially during this pandemic, to stay like accountable, to stay wanting to like continue to do the work for my clients when I wasn't sure what was going to be next. And so, you know, I kind of love the idea of accountability coach, because during the time when it was so uncertain, like the last thing I wanted to do was send emails. The last thing I wanted to do was bother my clients with like, hey, I'm adding another, you know, class, a minivans class, but I just had to do it. And I had to keep pushing myself to do it, which, you know, is incredible that, you know, all three of us were able to kind of come out of this other end, you know, standing on our own 2 feet after a crazy, crazy 12 months.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think with what all of we do, it's been so beneficial to be able to do it virtually. So Bianca, when a client comes to you, like, what does it look like? What does a first session look like? Are they coming to you every week? Are you giving them homework? Like, take us through, say, like, I don't know, a couple months of working with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically I require a minimum of at least 3 months commitment together, because I truly believe that implementing any new habit won't stick unless you do it for at least 3 months. Or trying to get rid of a habit as well. And so basically, my clients and I, we have, I'd say, about a half an hour discovery call where we just kind of chat. I get a feel for their personality. They get a feel for mine. We see if we're a good fit. I always say, you know, it's so important to work with someone that you really connect and you vibe with. And there's nothing personal about it. If you feel it, great. And if you don't, I completely understand. And from there, we dive straight into our first session. Our sessions are usually an hour long, and depending on how many goals and what the goals are, how comfortable the person is with, you know, communicating about their feelings and what, you know, they want to do in their life, I suggest once a week in the beginning. And then if I feel that they're on a really good track, it's bi-weekly with a few check-ins. And I offered in the beginning of COVID 15-minute touch base calls for all of my clients. So if they ever were in a moment of panic, they could quickly schedule a 15-minute touch base. And I found it, I actually had to stop that because it became a little bit hard for me to manage, because there was so much going on. And, you know, I tried to give each person my all, and it was becoming, too frequent, to a point where I felt like, as much as I want to hold your hand and get you through this, I'm giving you these tools, and now I need to see that you can walk on your own for 4 days and then come back to me, type thing. So it's also been a learning curve for me in that regard. And now that, you know, we get to a point, say after 3 months, where we have reached our macro goal and achieving all these micro goals along the way, then they can decide if they want to implement a new goal and we continue to work together, or we take some time to breathe and they, you know, live their beautiful life and they feel wonderful about what they've achieved. And then we touch base, and I always try to remain in contact with everyone to the level that they would like to remain in contact. And I think that in general, the biggest thing for me that I've seen, especially in the last year, is that people just really want someone to talk to who's outside of their circle, who's outside of their life, who comes from a completely non-biased perspective. And I preface, I don't replace therapy by any means. I'm not qualified to, so I just am putting that out there. In actuality, I always like to, you know, work with people and say, you need to be working with a therapist as well. And, you know, I'll be the one pushing you to go to seek therapy. But I do think that we try to develop a friendship in a way, but it's a friendship that's a brutally honest one. And I will tell you if, you know, you're doing something wrong, and I will tell you if you should have handled a situation differently. And I will let you know if you're not on track this week. So it's kind of one of those friends that, you know, just calls it how it is. And so I think in general, as much as everyone is so rewarded by having someone like that in their life, I get so rewarded by it too, because I learned so much about myself throughout the process. And to be honest, I got into this because I so badly at a time in my life needed accountability coaching, and I needed more than just a therapist. I needed someone who was, you know, my contemporary, my age, who kind of understood what I was going through and wasn't just giving me like a professional perspective, but like a very real friendship type accountability perspective, and someone who kind of got it. So that's really what I try to be for everyone that I work with. And it's wonderful to connect with you both, because I think that while I'm working with someone who needs accountability, it's so important for them to see a nutritionist, and it's so important for them to be working out with a fitness instructor. So to just kind of always preface that, you know, I don't replace any of those things, because I think health coaching is one of those topics that people are a little bit confused by, because there's so much out there and people don't really, you know, one article can say apples, another can say oranges, and you really don't know what to believe. But just, you know, only speaking for myself and my perspective, I love to work in tandem with all other professionals like you guys to, you know, be as holistic as possible for everyone.
I love
Love that.
I love the idea of like giving someone a support team. You know, it's kind of like we all need, and like you said, like I think it's really cool how you said how at one time in your life you needed an accountability coach. And it's like, I always tell my clients that too, like dietitians need dietitians, therapists need therapists, like everyone needs a support network, you know? And I think it's really cool that you are able to provide a very important piece of that for people, and that you're not trying to take the place of a therapist or a nutritionist, or I think it's so important what you provide, because you can educate somebody all day long on here are the workouts you have to do, here's the diet that is going to be best to make you feel your best. But if someone can't implement the things that you're saying, the journaling, the speaking out loud, like I would have never known that little trick. Or just setting their environment up in a way that's conducive to their goals, and having someone that's not their nutritionist, who's not their therapist or their trainer to go to even just be like, I had a really hard day at the nutritionist, or like I wasn't feeling my best with Christy today, and they can talk to you, you know, and you can help keep them on track for their goals. So I think it's like you really help round out the support team.
Yes, thank you. It's been wonderful. So yes, thank you.
I know, it's kind of like Serena Williams. Like she's got a whole team of people that make her absolutely incredible. She's the best, you know, athlete that we've seen ever. Right? That's whatever, bias, and she's got a whole team of people that make her absolutely amazing. So I think that's incredible. I think, you know, like you said, I'm a trainer. I often take class. I love to be, you know, in the passenger seat sometimes. I don't always want to be in the driver's seat. You know, it's kind of nice to be in the passenger seat. I even had my partner training me during quarantine because I just like could not get through my own workout sometimes. But I think it's a great, like absolutely great asset that you bring to someone that knows what they want to do. They just need a little help to get there. And I think kind of that's what we all do. You know what you want, you know how to, you know what you kind of have to do, but we just provide a little bit of help to help you get there in any way, and kind of keep you safe along the way, which I think is really exciting.
Yeah. And I think it's cool that like for people to know it's okay to ask for help, you know, and it's okay to need help. And I think we all like struggle with that at a certain point in our lives. And it's easy to say, well, I know what my problems are. I know what I have to do. But there's something so different, even if you've said them to yourself a million times. And like, I can't even tell you how many times I've like had pretend conversations with my non-existent therapist in my head. And then like actually going to see a therapist, even though it's the same thing that you've been saying in your head, it's different. It feels so good getting it off of your chest, and then having a real outside third party give you helpful, actually actionable tools. So I think it's especially right now, I think a lot of people are kind of coming to that realization of like, why not? It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you if you have to have a little help in this area or this area. I mean, I recently started seeing an acupuncturist who's giving me all this nutrition advice, but from a Eastern medicine perspective, and I love it. It's so cool, you know? So yeah, I think it's it's great for your clients to be comfortable being like, I do need some hand holding.
Yeah, I think everyone does, as you're saying.
Yes.
Everyone does, especially right now. So
yeah, I also think a lot of people, you know, sadly lost their jobs and they had a lot of time to think about, well, I was just doing that job because I needed to pay the bills or I needed to do that, but that might not have been my passion. And they might be in this weird crosswalk where they're like, I know what I want to do, but how would I get there? How do I start? You know, like when I actually was getting into fitness, I used to be a recruiter for mobile and web developers. And I actually worked with like a business coach. And I just sat with her and I said, I think I want to get into fitness. It's my side hustle. I was leaving my like desk job to go teach classes and I was like, I think I want to get into fitness. And she made me write down some of my biggest fears, right? And I remember that and then we read them out loud and it sounded silly. Once I read them out loud to myself, it sounded silly.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that kind of brought me back to what you were saying about talk to yourself. So I just think that a lot of people may find themselves in a position right now where they're like, I kind of know where I want to go, but how do I get there? And I think it would be great to have a resource like yourself, Bianca, where someone could be like, yes, we can get you there. And here's how we're going to break it down into really small steps. And here's, you know, your macro goal. I think that's something that might help people kind of just take that little leap if they're on the edge.
yes, thank you. And like, I need to learn from you both. Christy, I need to take your classes. And
oh, damn, girl.
Like, and after this year of snacking that I've been doing, so
exactly. Well, of snacking, I want to know so say you have a client that comes to you, they are eating all the foods that are making them feel like crap, and obviously everybody's different, but in general, do you have any kind of kitchen hacks in terms of setting up your environment that's more conducive to healthy eating, or snacks that you recommend to clients? Any favorite sweet treats that kind of like hit the sweet spot without making you feel like crap?
Yeah, definitely. So firstly, if there's anyone who comes to me with nutrition questions that I feel like is out of my scope, I will always send them to someone like you.
Mm-hmm.
But if I feel like it's more general questions or like lifestyle habits that I feel like I can answer, I definitely have a bunch. I'm a huge believer in meal prep. Specifically, I always suggest Sundays. I think Sundays are just a great day. Get in the kitchen, get all of your veggies, take them out of their containers, cut them up, put them, you know, in your fridge and make them easily grabbable. That way, I think especially lunch during the week is such a hard one for so many people. So you just grab all your different veggies, put them in a bowl, add a protein, some brown rice or whatever it is. Boom, you have a great lunch. I always have hard-boiled eggs in my fridge. I think that it's such a great thing just to have on hand. I made the mistake of peeling all of them and then putting them in my fridge once, and my husband was like, "What is that smell?" So don't.
Like full disclaimer, I still do it because I just hate
It's so
peeling them.
convenient. Yeah.
Yes, the smell is real.
I love avocado. I probably eat far too much of it, so you might have to put me in check there. But I love just like avocado with like sprinkled sea salt and a little bit of olive oil. I love popcorn. Popcorn is like my go-to, and I have learned in the last few months to make popcorn myself at home. It's much healthier.
Like air pop it?
Yeah, just like in a pot, and I'll, you know, do olive oil, maybe some rosemary, make it really like gourmet.
Yes.
But
Gosh,
and I have times where I like have to go to the market and buy like a big bag of popcorn, and it's usually white cheddar, and it's really probably not good for you. So
I love that, like, you know, lesser evil snacks.
Yes, with
yes, with the Buddha, and their popcorn is so good. They have one with ghee, so it's like super buttery, and then they have another one with coconut oil, and it's coconutty and delicious. I love their popcorn.
Yes.
But I never knew you could make. I knew you could make it when it was air poppers, but I never knew you could make it in a pot. Cool.
Yes, I'll send you
a picture of that.
Yeah,
I love that.
That was fun. And I also, please let me know what your thoughts are on this brand, but I love Mary's Gone Crackers.
I'm obsessed with Mary's Gone Crackers. We have them in the house at all times.
I gotta check them out. I'm gonna write down.
They're really, so good.
The jalapeno flavor is my
favorite. Jalapeno, because it's like actually spicy. It's like, it's so good. And the ingredients are super simple, and it's like the perfect carb to add to like a salad or snacking. It's so good.
And I'm trying to think what else. I think in terms of snacks, those are pretty much my go-tos. In terms of just like small little habits and things, again, journaling. I think reading is such a great tool to get your mind off of things, and like read like a mystery novel or sci-fi, or like get yourself into like a completely obscure story and let your mind wander. I think that's, as I think at the beginning of COVID, I read probably like every self-help book, just going through them, and then eventually like enough, like I need to read Harry Potter or something, like just
I love that.
And then just have a routine. I mean, I think a lot of people are really excited about the idea of like making morning smoothies and like putting their collagen powder, all things that, I'm sure that both of you know so much about and can talk more about than I can, but just maybe like having your thing, like every day you're doing something that's the same, that you're giving into your body, and you feel that it's, working its wonders, whether it's in your skin or your hair, and whether it's actually working or if it's a placebo, like it will still give you the confidence regardless, which is great.
I agree with you 100%. Like just the action of doing something that you feel is good for you and that is good for your health, like whether or not collagen is really going to get rid of your wrinkles.
Yeah.
Probably not. That's okay. Like you're putting your protein in your,
lie to me.
You're putting your protein in your smoothie. Like you're doing something good for your body. You're supporting maybe your joints and your gut health. I don't know about the wrinkles, but I agree with you. Just the action of doing that, especially like talking about smoothies, especially first thing in the morning. Like I always try to tell clients, like, if you can just think of the first thing you do as being productive and making you feel good, of drinking that water, whether it's the protein smoothie or the eggs or the Greek yogurt, whatever, your breakfast of choices, getting that in, and then thinking about the end of the day, like ending it in a way, even if it just means like an herbal tea after dinner, or, putting your cell phone in a different room come 7:30, 8:00 p.m.
Yeah.
Beginning the day and ending the day with these set in stone practices that help kind of anchor you is really
love that. Yeah.
And then it's kind of like in the middle, it's okay. Like, you're human, and obviously we want structure throughout your day, but at least like talking about micro goals, if you can celebrate nailing down those two things of I'm going to begin my way this day and I'm going to end my day this way each and every single day. I think that's something that's pretty manageable.
Yes.
Oh yeah. And I think that, Bianca, what you said about like routine, a lot of us got thrown off of our routine, right? Mm-hmm. We have our coffee on the way to work. We sit at work, blah, 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 right? We all got thrown off our routine. And so myself included, right? And so when I started bringing the routine back, I just realized and then bringing a couple of those things, Leah, that we had been talking about over our time also, like getting a lot more protein first thing in the morning. That is something that is now part of my routine. I also got an alarm clock. We've been talking about that. I leave my phone completely out of the room. I read before I go to bed. Like that is now part of my routine. And I think with my clients too, and maybe, this might work for your clients as well. I tell them, put your workouts in like you would put a meeting. Yes. And what you wouldn't cancel on a meeting on your team. So why would you cancel your workout?
Yeah.
Because you can. It's like so easy. I fall into the same trap. If I don't put it on my calendar, my actual planner, like I take my Sunday, like you guys talked about meal prep, I take my Sunday to prep where all my clients are going to be, where's my time, where do I meditate, where do I put my workouts? If I don't put it in there, I'm not going to do it. I wouldn't get on that bike. I would continue to clean. I was doing laundry. I would continue to do everything else. I wouldn't get on that bike. I wouldn't do my workout. So, that routine that kind of got evaporated away from us. I think, putting down those anchors, it's like very visual for me, like just anchoring everything down. It's such an interesting concept. And then getting into a mini routine, even if it's just those small things, just, scheduling your workout, scheduling the time to journal, scheduling the time to read. I think those are really, really important.
Absolutely. I love that. And you could use that too for food prep. Like you said on a Sunday, like say, okay, like 12 to 3 this Sunday, I'm going to roast a ton of vegetables. I'm going to hard boil my eggs. I'm going to wash all my fruit or whatever it is and make some turkey meatballs, whatever you got to do to have in your fridge for the week, and just take, it doesn't even have to be 3 hours. It could be 2 hours, and make it fun. Like, I don't know if you've read Atomic Habits by James.
No, check it out.
Oh my gosh, Bianca, it's like right up your alley, because it's all about how to implement healthy habits and how to get rid of the bad ones. And he like breaks it down. His name is James Clear, and he breaks it down into like really actionable steps. And he's like, you have to make that habit that you want to implement enticing, right? So it's like, you're not going to do it if it seems boring, if you hate doing it. It's like, if you hate running, don't have running be your workout, you know? Or like, it could be as simple as putting Netflix in front of you while you're on the Peloton, you know, like save your Netflix show for while you're on the Peloton. It makes it enticing. And for food prep, I always tell people, like, throw on music, like put on a podcast, save your podcast that you've been waiting to listen to for your food prep time. Make it relaxing and enjoyable and something you look forward to. If you have kids, maybe that's the time you tell your husband, I'm cooking for 2 hours. Like, you can take the kids. Yeah. You're gonna really want that food prep time if that's going to be your time without kids, you know? So I'm like, I'll food prep all day long if you can watch the kids. So make it enticing to you. And that applies to any habit that you want to implement, you know, with working out too. Like, find a trainer you love that, you know. I remember me and Christy, we used to chat the whole hour, and then all of a sudden the hour's gone by, and I'm like, you kicked my ass, and I didn't even realize it while it was
happening. We were talking housewives the whole time.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think also too, like so I have a group that's been so consistent, and they are a group of, it's now like 6 people, and they work out from their homes, all separate homes, but you know, twice a week we have this little group, and it grew. It started with like 4 of us, or 3, and then 4, and now we're up to 6. And it's a little social. It's really fun. We have a really good time, and rain, sleet, snow obviously doesn't affect us. We're super, you know, they're super committed, and they're super consistent.
Yeah. I love that. And that's another piece in that book too about accountability and behavior change, is like, get other people involved. You know, you have it. I'm sure you advise your clients to like buddy system. You know, I mean, you are people's buddy system essentially, but like have someone that's going to keep you accountable. And that's basically what those people in your group are doing, Christy. It also makes me think of Sanjay Gupta. He was talking about brain health, and he said the most beneficial thing you can do for your brain, period, is like exercise while being social. So like, go on a walk with your friend and like talk about your problems, or work out at Christy's group, and you could be like, you know, like socializing and working out at the same time. That's like food for your brain. So I think that's really cool.
Love that. Love that.
I have to say, like, taking walks with friends outside has been so wonderful in general always, but specifically throughout this past year. It's just such a fun thing to look forward to, and you connect on such a deeper level. So I completely agree with that.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
That's like kind of a silver lining of COVID, is like, it's really brought back the walk. You know what I mean? Like,
whoever's doing the branding behind the walk is like, whoever's doing PR behind the walk
like
needs
their walks now. You know what I mean? Like, I even like around my neighborhood, it's like the moms are always in groups going on walks, and it's like, cause kind of like, what else are you going to do? But I feel like people really fell back in love with just walking outside. And, you know, I think it's even when I was speaking to the acupuncturist, she was like, if you need to implement more yin, which is, you know, more of that calming feminine energy, walking outside in nature is the most yin thing you can do, she said. So, and I just loved that, because I think maybe that's why people are so into it right now, because we all need that yin energy. And yeah, I'm a big fan of the nature walks. And if you can do it with a friend, like, you're just getting so many stress relieving and apparently brain benefits. So I think it's really cool.
Love that. Great. Okay, ladies, did we miss anything? Did we forget anything?
I don't.
It has been so great chatting with you guys. I feel like I've learned so much, and I want all of my clients to be able to come to you and ask you a million questions. So I feel like just making this connection has been so wonderful, and it's just great to like chat.
Yeah.
Wait, I know.
Chat and have plans.
Yeah, exactly. A little chat, a little chit chat.
Yeah, a little chat.
Well,
And are
Bianca, tell the people where
Yeah.
they can find you.
exactly. And are you taking on new clients?
I am taking on new clients right now. Obviously not a ton, but I'm definitely taking on, say, 1 or 2 right now. And you can find me on my website, which is livingwithbianca.com. And there is information there where you can contact me and email me, and you can also give me a call. I welcome you to just go straight to calling me and we can just talk it out. So yes, I would love to, speak further with anyone who needs my guidance or assistance.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Amazing. Okay.
Guys, this was such an honor for you guys to include me in this. I think what you guys are doing is awesome, and it was so nice to be included. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad we can round out Women's History Month with another strong woman who's making it happen, who's working on her business. I think it's incredible.
Guys.
Agreed.
All righty.
Cool.
Give a hold. I'm going to just stop the recording. Okay, stop cloud recording.